like I said, I do want to express to Terry for always pulling this together, Rachel, the chamber, everybody, that it does feel really good for us to get back together. You know, I think we've already recognized Team Biloxi, but y'all stand and wave again so I can see you. They always like in the back of church. So thank y'all. Everything wouldn't happen except for them, and you know, we're just, you know, leading a little bit of direction. But I really want to say one thing about Team Keesler. You know, Colonel Hunter, Colonel Rubio, and of course, you know, we feel like we're cousins. When you moved away, and the things we did together, you know, how about that Keesler Gate coming together, and that $37 million we found. So we didn't know any better, right? So, but I do want, not yet, not yet. But it is, you know, a really good thing to have everybody together. You know, as I said, Zeta, Ida, all kinds of things have happened. Sam, you know, we worked our way through it. It's 2 years, right? So. We've, just like the chamber, we've accomplished some things in spite of all these other things. I brought some little visual aids too. If you come take a look at, this was an article out of the 1918 Daily Herald. And literally we had that at City Hall, and it talks about the Spanish flu. Well, there was nothing Spanish about the Spanish flu. It actually started from Canadian geese into Nebraska, and World War I took them, and it sent a million soldiers to Europe, and the Spanish identified it as a flu, and it killed, I think, 750,000 people in the United States. So here we just worked our way through a similar situation, maybe even a worse situation. Who knows with Omicron, and I don't know the total Greek alphabet, but I'm sure they'll come with something. Even the storms, the Zeta and Ida, we're still recovering from Zeta and Ida, and you know, it's a continual battle, and you've got to be prepared to do battle, and I think we have. You know, my team, our team is in a position and know what to do without, you know, really having to point it out. So that's what's great about, you know, I guess everybody engaged and loving what they do. So I'm going to point out a few little departmental things that we accomplished and save some time for maybe, you know, some questions, okay? Like a new bridge or a toll or some of those other things. You know, just kind of turn the heat up on that. But we'll point out some visual aids too. So we got, I'm prepared to talk, you know, what we can do at the low end, what we can do at the high end. But I brought some, actually I'll explain this in just a minute. But going back to each department in our administration, I don't know, you might have seen right before cruising and right before Thanksgiving, you know, we removed, as a result of Hurricane Zeta, I think about 100 truckloads of sand just not too very far from here. But that was a joint effort between, I guess coastal Mississippi gave us a couple of 100,000. I think Nathan, you back there, our city councilman's back there. In 2 weeks, we were able to put a couple of $100,000 from City of Biloxi, the Board of Supervisors, as well as coastal Mississippi, to engage, because, you know, we had to get this thing looking like it should. Now the question is, you've seen cruising, they'll be finishing up, I think, in December 8th. So they're removing another couple of 100 truckloads of sand, get it down, trying to get a top-notch look and feel, a resort look and feel that we want. So people will come back. We had a tremendous year as far as gaming and as far as visitation. And, you know, I think 4.2 million visitors. Our census was up about 5,000, so we're right at 50,000 people. But, you know, our shadow population is probably around 75,000. So at any one point in time, you know, we've got a city of 75,000 that we have to worry about. And that's daily. You know, Chief, I think we had about 1,600 to 1,700 calls for service. Isn't that right, Chief? Wave if you're back there. So, but anyway, every week we meet and go over these things that have happened and what we're going to, things are going to happen. So it's a tremendous effort. But, you know, basically, we want to keep this whole place safe, friendly, and beautiful. You know, for our kids and for our grandkids. So when we're gone, you know, they'll be doing the same thing we're doing. It's appreciating the city of Biloxi that we all have. So I mentioned, I think Jared here, we had about 500 permits for new homes, which is pretty good. It's reflective of people coming here. And we talked a little bit, General Evans, we talked about this Rizzuto's, new Italian restaurant that's going in the Reading House that was, kind of waited for a thing to happen, and pretty much out of the blue, the Rizzuto's came over. They have Rizzuto's Chop House in New Orleans. It used to be Angelo's restaurant. Anyway, great family group, and they're coming back. So I think after the first of the year, they'll be moving forward with that. Of course, at the Magnolia Hotel, Field's Flight is back in operation. That's an interesting story. Zeta, actually, the wind was channeled between the Hard Rock and the Beau Rivage, picked that Magnolia hole up and it's kind of set it sideways and things split. I mean, it wasn't, it was a kind of, hey, the wind picked it up and put it back down. So it was, interesting story. But they're back in action, trying to put it back together and opening that restaurant. Ground Zero, right? Morgan Freeman's Ground Zero Biloxi is looking about a month away on that. So that's going to be an interesting part of the redevelopment and the, that cool look of Howard Avenue. Margaritaville, I think the amusement park and the $12 million Ferris wheel will be here in March sometime. So, and they have some plans for north of the highway, a great indoor water park looking lodge. And of course, people every day are knocking on our doors to figure out, hey, can this happen? So, and that's our job, to figure out how it can happen, but in the right way that we envision for our city. Of course, the Sanger, that's always an interesting situation, but we're about 4 weeks, feverishly pushing to finish that exterior, and then we'll worry about the interior and how we'll ongoing, operation and make it successful. But we feel like that's just weeks away. And of course, the U Music Broadwater and the Tivoli are still trying to get their act together with regard to some small financing things, but $600 to $700 million is not a big problem. But that is still going. Of course, Terry mentioned, we got a Starbucks ready to go. So, and I think Terry had a good year. Where are you, Terry? You in the back somewhere? But like I said, we're excited for you, and we were in the middle of this sort of recovery, and we've talked a lot about where we're going. So I'm proud of you, Terry, and we're actually, if we're successful with regard to some new bridges and some new expansions, this expansion, and this, I'm going down a rabbit hole, Vincent, so bear with me. This expansion that we're talking about, there will be phase A of this Biloxi Beach corridor that may involve 2 bridges and a toll, or maybe not a toll. We don't know, but this will actually impact you in a great way if we actually do that. But the next event that we'll talk about would be the expansion of Popp's Ferry across the railroad tracks just to the west of the Coliseum. And that's going to be sooner than later. And because it's under our control, and not that it should be all our deal, but sometimes you got to just take the bull by the horns and go. As far as engineering and construction, with the Katrina South contracts are moving right along. I think Waltwood did $32 million bid for the westmost things. So that's happening. We've total about 100-something million of those projects left. But again, we completed the North contract, not so gracefully, but we did. It's done, and we're just a few fences short of saying, we'll let you go up the road. North contract, folks. But Oak Street, the small craft harbor, we're doing the boardwalk. Actually, it's actually a part boardwalk and port walkway with the ability to keep the sand on the beach. And I guess that's one of the biggest projects. That was about a $3 million project when you include replenishing the sand afterwards. But they're about 40% through with the laying of the concrete. But that project is a pilot project that could be, used throughout from bridge to bridge to kind of mitigate and keep the sand from getting on the highway, which presents all kinds of problems with drainage and that sort of thing. One thing that you should note too, and I believe February the 13th is the date that the Abbeville founded Biloxi. And it's also going to be the date in 2022 when we, you might see this thing that's sitting in the Lighthouse parking lot. It looks like the base of a Saturn V. And that's where a 6'6" statue of Fred Hayes, a bronze statue of Fred Hayes, will go. And we'll have a pretty good event. You know, Apollo 13, everybody knows they didn't land on the moon, but you know, it was a hell of a thing, and a Biloxian was there. And literally knowing Fred and knowing his heart and his love of Biloxi, it'll be a tremendous pleasure, and it'd be a great thing for Fred to be here with us and let him talk about his life in Biloxi as well as, you know, the things he did in space. So that'll, you know, mark your calendar, February 13th, and it's Sunday. It's Super Bowl Sunday, but that's okay. It's going to be early, so you'll still be able to get your bets down. So, but actually, they're paving today. That parking lot, Lighthouse parking lot, was 78 parking places, I think. We've redesigned it, and now there's going to have 172 parking places, and with the statue and the Fred Hayes moonwalk, right, Cecilia? So it's going to be a pretty good event, and we're looking forward to that. And of course, you know, I think Amtrak. We got some plans for the platform, and I don't know who's paying for it, but you know, it's going. But I don't know who pays for anything, to tell you the truth. Just as long as it gets through council, right, Nathan? But you know, talk about public works. We had an effort, I think, just last. I'm not sure exactly when, but you know, there was as things rolled out and IDA took place. There was a tremendous amount of piles of trash that I think Pelican Waste is a normal facility, but we actually engaged one of our debris removal contractors to assist the city of Biloxi to remove these things that everybody was just cleaning up, putting piles of limbs and debris in the front. And that was, you know, I think thousands of loads of debris moved to the site for I guess the landfill. It's not really a landfill, but it was a place for our debris to be removed. But that was you know, a few $1 million worth of projects that we successfully did. And you know, thanking Public Works to take that bull by the horns and go forward. Also, I think we have in a plan. You heard a little bit about this money coming for infrastructure, the different buckets of money that, you know, sometimes we seem like we missed the boat, but we don't take it lightly. We keep plugging away. But there's about $28 million of water and sewer for the west and the north areas of Biloxi to match up with some of this federal money coming back down. So, but it's going to be water, sewer, and drainage. That's important. You know, we did the wards 1 and 2. With the North contract, a part of the $340 million worth of that. Now we've got to redesign the remaining water and sewer infrastructure. So we're in the middle of that. We've got a master plan design, and we're going to, you know, push forward with that. I think there are a number of things in Wool Market we're doing with regard to sidewalks and just generally doing the things we need to do. In fact, in 2022, we added 10 more people to utility of the Public Works, as well as another 5 for Parks and Rec to actually help accomplish some of these things to do. And as far as public safety, I think we added 10 more patrolmen, and still we have about 28 vacancies left in the police department. We also, I think we're just finishing up the training for 11 new firemen, and I think the next class will start December 4th, I believe. So if you want to be a fireman, just kind of, December 14th. That's when you should enroll. This is Eagle Point, Nathan. I think we got some pickleball courts being striped right now in basketball, and we're bidding some of the equipments for not only Eagle Point, the playground equipment, but also for Savara and Pennzoil Park, I believe. Some other things in Parks and Recreation. The A.J. Holloway Sports Complex has, I believe, 5 youth baseball courts, as well as 4 softball courts and fields, and 1 baseball field, and then 4 soccer fields. Now, we're seriously in a feasibility study. I think Machado and them are bringing us I guess an estimate of what it's going to take. We're probably going to put about $5 million in that complex. That will pay for itself in attracting new sports tourism kinds of events. So we're excited about that, and we're ready to pull the trigger. I think right now, we're ready to pull the trigger on that, only. If he gets 2 or 3 of his friends to say, yeah, let's go for it, let's go borrow the money and do it. But that is truly exciting. And I think as far as pickleball, I think they're getting ready to host the first sanctioned Mississippi USAP pickleball event right there on Popp's Ferry Road. That's a big thing. That's people turn out for that. People, from Florida they come over here, Texas they come over. It's a big thing. And we're, like I said, we're just moving forward when it comes to those kinds of things. One more note. I want to mention, as I did mention, I think the fire department has just, for recruiting, the recruit training for 11 or so are going on right now, and the next hiring process is, like as I had mentioned, on the 14th. But we also, in the budget, we have fire engines, and those are not cheap. They're not Toyotas, okay? So you got to go do some serious sourcing. But I think we're going to replace engines in stations 7, 8, and 9. As I mentioned to the police department, it's a true challenge, and we're appreciative of everyone who wears that blue right now. They've done some tremendous things. As I said, they've accomplished some things over the last 2 years, and knowing firsthand the challenges that they have. I mean, you just got to say thank goodness for them. I think they're trying to recruit 20 positions, but they've introduced some better community relationship building programs, such as the Citizens Police Academy. And I think that is going to start January 4th, I think, Chief, isn't it? And then, of course, a youth engagement team. So they do some great things together, as does the police, and as does the fire department too. But I think they served about 300 Thanksgiving meals just the other day, and now they're accepting applications for Christmas meals, for the needy. So they're the ones that keep us safe, and we're appreciative of both departments. So that's about the update I wanted to say. But now, anybody questions so far? Raise your hand. Yeah, Sam.
I know it's been an ongoing process, but just curious because it's something that we at this table enjoy. What's the status of the piers?
Oh yeah, right. Well, actually, we've just awarded the contract to repair. I think they're starting at the north side Oak Street Pier. The Lighthouse Pier is the one that really causes the attention. That's going to be an interesting thing. FEMA and through Zeta, they have all kinds of rules and regs. But the interesting thing, that pier was 800 feet long, okay, and it was built out of just normal wood pilings. Well, we tested the woods and the pilings and so forth, because in the past you'd have to put it back to get reimbursed by Zeta. You have to put exactly whatever got what. You can't put it better. But that has changed. So now they've allowed us that if it costs you $1 million to replace the pier, well, they will allow you another $1 million to mitigate it. So if you do something different, the rule has changed to our betterment. Now, what we're going to do at that pier is it's 800 feet long, as I said. We'll probably make 800 or 400 feet, about half of that, of breakwater, which a rock and concrete, and deck, and then tying it in with a flow-through decking, so the water won't, the wood structure won't float away again like it did before. So that's a pretty good thing. I'm glad you mentioned that. But we got the Coliseum Pier to do a similar thing. So we've got a number of piers, and every pier we had got hit, the Oak Street, both on the south part by Blind Tiger as well as on the north part, the Forest Avenue Pier. So we're in the middle of that. We bid that out, and they're working right now. But I'm excited about the Lighthouse Pier, because that's really true going to be an event. If you look at different places on the beach, like where the outfalls are, sand builds up on one side and scours out on the other. So this breakwater that we're going to put, which is half of the length of that pier, will keep that sand where it needs to be. Now we just got to keep it on the beach too. That's where the knee wall and those boardwalks do. So our next adventure there would be trying to get the funding to do from Porter Avenue all the way to White Avenue. So that would be our next goal. But that's, talking about $1 million a mile, we got about 17 miles to do. So, but it's part of the game. So every day's sort of a interesting pitch on how you can do something different that won't have to do this again. As I mentioned, trying to get a plan. We engaged. Still on the beach now, so my mind's working there. But we engaged Christian Prius, who was, if any of y'all have been to Fairhope, Alabama, and they don't have the sand we have, but the look and feel, top notch, well groomed, and we've engaged them, and we're in the middle of a process with them to say, now we got it scraped down. What can we do so we don't have to do it again? Some of these places that had grass and sand and everything mixed up, we might want to put the stamped concrete and some of those things so it can be blow the sand back off instead of manually grabbing. So it's an ongoing, but it's, like I said, there's every twist and turn you want to make sure you do something different if you got to attack it. Make sure the ongoing maintenance won't be more than it should be. So that's a good question. So we got about 7 or 8 of those piers that we're doing. We're in the middle of that though right now. Any other questions? So that brings us to my favorite subject, bridges, right? It was interesting. This past Saturday, I think it got stuck, this Popp's Ferry Bridge. Now let me back up a little bit. Popp's Ferry, that road was a county road. We didn't incorporate Sunkist till right about 1978, 79. So it was all in the county. And they had a guy named Pops who had a ferry. And then they got a bridge put up there, and it was just normal swinging bridge. 79, they put this bridge up that we're living with right now. There was a bond issue, but really it was a county, city effort. But over the course of time, I think in 90-something, the county said, here, you take the bridge. Well, I wouldn't have taken the bridge, but anyway, basically it's a county bridge. Now, you think of what the challenges we've had. I think right before, about 4 years ago, we had a threat of a storm, and we had right before, or right in the middle of cruising the coast. And there were trailers that had to go north and evacuate, and the access was very important. So and you couldn't, when this threat of the storm, you had boats coming through there, and the marine traffic has a priority on that. So you I can't weld it shut, okay, if you know what I mean, because I guess the reason for the bridge as it was built with the expansion, with the gates that it had, was the industrial seaway, which is a significant amount of development there, is dependent on that coming through that choke point. You saw the $320 million bridge that replaced the Biloxi Ocean Springs Bridge was high enough. So 90 feet that would allow all of that business to come up. So that's what we're trying to get there. So you don't have to open that bridge. But back through the original point, that bridge got stuck like 3 times Saturday because Friday night it got cold, and it's a steel structure, and it didn't fit together. So, but anyway, this is the first time I've got calls from people in boats saying, when can I get my boat through here? So I had people stuck on the bridge as well as, stuck in the water. So it just kind of bubbled up. The timing is good. We've been looking at this since 2015. There was something, I think Neil Schaefer developed a whole Biloxi Beach Corridor, which would take us and access from 67 in the north down Shriners Boulevard, another bridge, which could be or could not be a toll, from Wool Market exit to our Morgan Sherry Library, and then go on to the new bridge at Morgan Sherry Library to Pass Road or to Atkinson Road. So that was a $255 million project back then. Well, what was about a $100 million bridge, the high-rise bridge. Everybody knows we need a new bridge there, right? Tell me if you don't think we need a new bridge. But we do need a bridge. And now, the point I'm trying to make is, it's not just a Biloxi problem. It's a regional problem. It's an MDOT problem. The problem is, it's not a state road, like 605, or like, the Fort Bayou Bridge. That's a problem. We've been trying to get that changed, and that's daily. We're trying to do that with just to be able to go after this infrastructure money. Everybody talks about this 1.3 trillion. Well, Mississippi's going to get 3.3 billion. But guess what? Of that 3.3 billion that's coming to the state over the next 10 years, 225 million of it is for bridges. That's for bridges in all of Mississippi. Okay, that's depressing, isn't it? Now, what kind of shot? I've been trying to get $16 million to 4 years in a row. We were shovel ready. We had everything going for us just to take that extend 4 lanes across Pass Road, across the railroad tracks to Highway 9. 4 years in a row. We've done everything right, and we lost again. So what chance do you think we do to get $180 million to do that bridge? But bottom line, I'm here to do what's best for Biloxi, period. And it's not fair. I waffle back and forth. Build a bridge takes 15 years. Okay, this bridge effort started in 2004 with Plan A, and they wound up to Plan J, and they were literally, but it's still, it's still on the ground, or still going nowhere. But my problem is, we need to be, reasonable, and Biloxi needs to be. It's just not a Biloxi deal. It's a regional deal. It's a development deal, and that's where I'm going to be, focusing on how this thing should be accomplished. Nobody, can argue. This thing needs to be a high-rise bridge, and that's my argument, and I'm going to stick to it, if you know what I mean. But yeah, let me show you exactly what happened. If you look at, if you're sitting on that bridge deck, these were the two pieces of metal come together. And it got cold, got out of the line. It's like when you have to lock a door. It's like a little slide. This thing right here slides in there, so now you can lock the bridge and then safely travel. And that's supposed to be automatic. Well, you can see the difference. Because it was cold, expansion and contraction, not locking good, right? But then, what do? You call 911. But what would you do is get a guy out there with a crowbar. And so that's an example, but literally, that's happened like 90 times. We had a couple of barges. How much barge traffic goes through there? Well, anyway, you can see the difference in how the bridge aligns itself. And that's just, the physics of things. So I think that's 120 feet, 60 feet each way. But, and like I said, Mother Nature and physics takes things. But we did have a barge hit that structure. And anyway, that's what we got to deal with. So it's very important. It's very important to a lot of things. So we're in the midst of that, and really I've had some family discussions about, not with my wife, but some of my cousins about, I'm not paying a damn toll, okay? So, but it is interesting, and it's not like, you see in Alabama, Orange Beach, and all over Florida, and even Texas. We had some cousins come in from Houston. There are tolls everywhere, and the thought is let the users of the bridge pay for the bridge. Well, this is a little bit different. We got people that may work, in other places, but this is dependent on, we've got a huge population, a couple of wards that would, use that bridge 2 or 3 times a day. It seems nice, but again, going back, it's not fair for us to take the whole 9 yards. We need to get a way. Now, we could say, okay, let's raise everybody's taxes 10 mils. Okay? And that would be, 40,000 people whose taxes went up. But it's not fair for us to say, city of Biloxi, we're going to get this done. 10 mils, about $6 million a year we'd have. Or, the question is, do we give this private company, the revenue for the next 75 years, I believe, which is a long time. I'm not planning on being here 75 years from now. But, it's just a question that needs to be looked at from every angle. But again, my position is we're going to do what's right, what makes sense, and what's fair for Biloxi. But this is neat, this impacts a lot of folks. And every time I talk about defense access road, and been doing this since 2015. But defense access evacuation, it meets all the criteria. So don't worry about making your toll arrangements yet, but it's on the radar. The big thing about this proposal, and again, we haven't signed anything, we're in an evaluation of what could happen. But you could be driving on a new bridge in 4 years, if we come to an arrangement with this United Bridge Builders. But again, the bottom line, we cannot sign anything that would box us out of receiving any of this infrastructure money should we fortunate enough to get it. So that's some of the parameters we're trying to evaluate and everything, but that's top on our list, replacing that with a high-rise, the causeway and a high-rise bridge, and then maybe getting a new corridor from the I-10 exit to feed into that bridge. All right, anybody have any questions? Well, y'all were easy. So thank y'all again. Like I said, I thank everybody that's here because it does make us feel good that everybody cares about our community and that we'll push it into the future the right way. So thank y'all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for participating in this program. It's been going on for a long time. I remember when I first came to the first breakfast with the mayor, we had about 30 people here.
Thanks.
So you can see how much it's grown over the years. But we appreciate everyone coming out. We want to thank the mall for their sponsorship for today. Thank you, Terry. And everybody have a great day.
Right.